Hey guys, this is Mike from SAE, just doing a quick rigging tutorial. Going to rig this bipedal character. This is part one of a part three series. So we're going to start out placing the spine joints, and then we're going to place the leg joints, and then we're going to move on and create a foot setup. So let's get started. Here's our little character. Now we need to do a couple of preliminary checks before we start rigging the character. First, you want to make sure you've deleted all the history on your character. You can see that in your channel box. Okay. Alt Shift D when you select the mesh allows you to delete the history. Okay, so I like to put my mesh into its own layer down here. So I've got it into its own layer. I've also got the eyes in a layer. So I'm going to just hit T there. There we go. So now I cannot select the actual mesh, and I'll do the same with the eyes as well. Okay. So I'm going to move into the front view because I like to be in the front view when I create the from the torso up through the spine, the neck, and the head joints. So let's get started. Make sure your character, by the way, is in world down the middle of the x-axis, and I'll just go into the perspective view to show you that again. So just make sure that he's pointing z-axis forwards, okay, and he's in the center of your world. Okay, great. So now to create the first joint chain, we make sure you're in the rigging menu, out of modeling into rigging, and you go skeleton, create joints, and we'll go to the options, and I'm just going to reset everything. So here we have it's all reset, and I like to have primary axis as X, secondary axis Y, and my third axis, secondary world axis, will be Z, XYZ. Okay. So now I should be good to start creating my joints. I'll just close this and I'll create my first joint. I like to approximately here. I'm going to hold X just so as I know that's going to snap right to the middle there. And now if I hold Shift, I know it'll be creating it straight up the center by holding Shift, sorry. So I'll put my first one, say here, my second one, my third. I'll create one more for the spine, so that's 4 for the spine. Now I'll come up towards the chest, just below the armpits, and now one more right up to the neck, and finally I'll do one for the head. Now I might actually put one here for the mouth and for the eyes and then the head, but this one I'm just only going to be animating this character with his head, so I'll stop it there. I'll hit enter. There we go, there's our first joint chain. If I want to change the actual size of the, not the size, but the display them a little bit larger, I go display, animation, joint size, and I can increase or decrease that. So I'll just increase it a bit so as we can see it a bit better. Okay, I'm going to go into my side view now, right view, and actually first up I need to name all my joints, so I can name them either inside my outliner, double click it, and the first one's going to be my root joint, just down the base here, so that's my root, and we can go all the way through here. This one here is my spine 1, spine 2, okay, I'm just gonna spine 3, spine 4, do one more for the spine, spine 5. Now I've got the neck, I'll just call it also neck, and then one more here is my head joint. There we go. Okay, so I like to come in and put a bit of a bend to it because the character, so I'll just, whoops, pull that one there. Can use my arrow keys just to go up a little bit. There, bring this on now forwards again, back towards the middle. So yeah, I'm just going to come back down, just checking that. And looks pretty good. Have a look in my perspective. Okay, happy with that. So that's my root joint there. Okay. Now we'll do the leg. So I'll go to the side view again. I could also do this in the right view, but I'll do it from the side. So I'm going to create another chain. So I'll go skeleton, create joints. This one will be my hip. Hip will be about approximately here, and then down to the knee. I'm not holding shift this time because it's going to be on a slight angle. And then the ankle, my ankle will be approximately here. And I want to have a ball. The ball I'll put right down the bottom here, so approximately here. And then one more for the toe, about here. And I like to create one more joint leading out from here, like that. Then I delete it. And that way this end effector, or the end joint, is actually pointing out in that direction. Now I hit enter. And now I'll name these. So this one is my left L underscore hip. L underscore is left side. Come down, this will be L, capital L underscore knee. And then L underscore ankle. L underscore ball. Oops. Ball, enter, and then L underscore toe. Alright. Let's go back into our perspective. Now obviously it's placed that right in the center here. So if I go to my front view, I can just pull it out slightly. Okay. Now when we actually create your character, it's really good to have your legs nice and straight. Okay. Not bowed out here. The fingers, the toes not pointing outwards or pointing downwards or upwards too much. Just get them in a very straight up and down sort of pose, legs slightly apart. Okay, so that's not too bad. It just helps a lot more when we do our joint orientations, which we're about to do now. First, I will parent this hip to our torso. So I just shift select torso, hit P, P to parent. Now it's parented. Notice it's parented here. The left hip is parented to the root. Okay, so now let's check out the orientation of this. If I were to click the torso, the root, and if I come up to orientations, we can go skeleton, orient joint, options, and here we go. So we've got X, Y, Y, I'll go X, Y, Z, and then I'll say, oh, we can toggle the axis if we want to, so we can actually see it. And then we go apply, and now you'll notice they should be all pointing down the axis. I'll just close that. Now I like to be able to see them properly. I like to select the root, and I like to come into my sub-object mode here, and I click this little question mark here. Select miscellaneous components it is. Clicking that reveals them. And now I can really see the orients. Now what we're interested in here, X should be pointing along the direction of the joint. So I like to think of this as the bone, the joint as the little sphere. There's the joint, and this is the direction in which it should be traveling, so it's going down through the leg, for example, from the hip to the knee. So X is my primary, and then Z will be my secondary here. They're the important ones. So X is pointing down there, X down through here, X, so it's in the right direction. Great. Y should be forwards. Okay. Forwards to the state where, for example, this one is pointing slightly more vertical, more parallel here, so Y naturally is going to be pointing up. So we come up through this one, X is all the right direction. If I wanted to, I could correct this here. It's not going to make too much difference. Rotate it. I could bring that one up like that, and maybe even, whoops, slide it around. Slide it around a little bit. Okay. These ends are not a big deal actually, what direction they're pointing. I like to have them out though. Okay, let's now get out of there, and we will create the IK handle. IK handle, skeleton, create IK handle. Go to the options. Rotate plane solver is the one you want. Okay, and then close that. Now we're going to first select the hip and come down to the ankle, and now you can see, you can test it, make sure it doesn't flip out. It's nice and straight, it's working properly. One thing worth mentioning here is the direction of the IK handle. You notice the solver is the little white arrow here. It should be pointing in the direction that the knee should be traveling, so it's pointing forwards here. So there you go. Okay. Now, to create the actual the foot control, this foot roll, we're going to create another 2 IK handles. So we're going to go again, skeleton, create IK handle. This one's going to be from the ankle to the ball, and we'll actually name these. So we'll call this this one is from the ankle, so we'll call to the ball, so we'll call this one ball IK. This one will be ankle IK. We're going to create one more going from the ball to the toe, and we'll call it toe underscore IK. So we have an ankle IK, we have a ball IK, we have a toe IK. Okay, fantastic. So next up, what we're going to do is create the locators. We need 3 little locators, guys. How do we create a locator? Up here, create locator, and these are what we're going to pivot the ankle, the ball of the foot, and the toe of the foot on. Okay, these IK handles are going to be basically parented to them, so when you rotate these, the foot will rotate. So let's have a look. Here's our first one. I'm just going to scale this up a little bit, and I'm going to place it back at the heel of the foot, because this is going to be the heel roll. Put it right back here. Like that. More about there. And I'll actually call this one heel underscore lock for locator, and I'll control D just to duplicate it, bring it forwards, This one here is going to be my ball locator, so I'm going to actually hold V to snap it into the middle of that joint, and I'm going to name this one ball underscore lock for locator. So I've got a ball lock and a heel lock, and I'll control D to duplicate that one too, and I'll snap this one into the middle here, and this is going to be my toe lock. So toe underscore lock. So I have a heel, a ball, and a toe locator. Okay, so next up, what we want to do, we need to, we've created those RDI key handles, and we've created the locators. We've got those all in position. So what we need to do is now parent the locators to one another. So we need to parent the toe locator to the heel locator. So the toe locator to the heel locator. So I can just simply middle mouse drag this into the heel locator, let it go. That's now parented. There you go, see? And then the other one we want to do is the ball locator, parent that to the toe locator. So the ball locator should be parented to the toe locator. So grab my ball, middle mouse drag into the toe locator. So it looks something like this. So the ball locator is now parented to the toe locator. Okay, great. Next up, we need to parent the IK handles to the locators. So to do that, first we want to select both the IK, we want to select both the ankle IK and the ball IK. So the ankle IK, and I'll shift select the ball IK, and we want to parent those to the ball locator. So where's my ball locator? Down here. I will middle mouse those, middle mouse drag and drop. There we go. Now you're going to see this little white arrow pop up. Don't worry about that, just leave that at the moment. And now we want to parent the toe IK to the toe locator. So the toe IK, here's the toe IK to the toe locator. Boom. So the toe IK to the toe locator. Middle mouse drag that into this one. Let it go. Alright, now we should be able to test this by, for example, you might want to grab that the heel locator, and if you try and rotate it, it should, yeah, it's working great. That's working great. What about the ball? Yep, ball's working good. And finally the toe, and toe's working great. Fantastic. So now that we've tested that, let's move on. We need to create the actual control that's going to control the actual foot, because the animators turn off all these joints. We don't want to see those while we're animating. We want to turn off the IK handles. So we need to create a controller. So let's create one. We go create NURBS objects, NURBS primitives, come down to circle. Clicking that creates a little circle. I'm just going to scale it up to approximately the size of the foot. You don't have to use a circle. If you wanted to, you could use any other object, but by default most riggers tend to use circles and basically curves, etc. You could, if you wanted to, come in here and right click and and actually change some of the shape of it. Control vertex, you could decide to move some of these points if you wanted to, and pull things in and out, etc., just to make it a bit more customized. So you might even pull these in here to make them more like the shape of a foot, just to jazz things up a bit. Pull these ones out a bit. Okay, pull that one out a bit. Cool. So there we go, we've got our left foot control. Let's rename it, double click, and we'll call this L_foot control, CTRL for control. And the important part with any control is you need to freeze the transforms. So I'm going to move this upwards a little bit. I like to have these a little bit higher, because the fact is, once the foot's on the ground, if this is too low, it's going to be under the floor, under the ground, and you won't see the control. So I like to have them at least above the actual sole a little bit. I'll actually move it forwards a bit too. About there, I'm sort of happy with that. Now, how do we freeze the control? We go Modify, Freeze Transforms. And you'll notice over here it's going to set the transforms, the attributes here, all to 0. Ready? There, they've all been set to 0, which means later on I could move this anywhere when I'm animating, and I can set these back to 0. It'll always come back to that position. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so our next step, what we need to do next is actually create 3 attributes for our foot control. And those 3 attributes are going to drive these locators. So inside we select our foot control, we come into our channel box, and under Edit we can go Add Attribute, and we'll create our first one, and we'll call this one, say, Heel Roll. Okay, give it a name that makes sense to you, and then it should be a float. And now we want to set the minimum value to, say, I'll go with minus 50, and maximum value 50. Now you could try minus 10, minus 20. It's just going to change your value up in here once you create it. And we'll go Add, and then I'll create another one. This one will be called the Ball Roll. Once again, minus 50 to 50, and Add. And last one will be our toe roll, minimum minus 50 to maximum of 50, and Add. I can close that. So here they are here. Okay, now the next step, we need to hook or connect each of these attributes to our little locators here. How do we do that? Let's select our control, and we go Windows, Animation, General Editors, and come down to Connection Editor. Okay, and now you'll notice that our left foot control is already loaded into our left side. So we can scroll all the way down, and here they are, the heel, the ball, and the toe. Clicking this one. Now we need to load one of our locators, and obviously the one we want to load is going to be our heel, because we've got the heel here. So I'll select it here, grab the heel lock, and I'll go Reload Right. And now it's in, and we need to scroll down to the rotate value, because that's what we want to affect, is the rotational value. Here's rotate. Click the little plus, and I want to rotate in the X, so I'll click this one, rotate X, and I'll do the same for the other two. So ball roll, and this time I'm going to load the ball, so that one. I'll come rotate, and I'll go X, and then finally I'll go toe. I'll select my toe here, locator, reload right, once again rotate X, and then I should be able to close it. And now if everything's correct, I should be able to grab that control, and I should be able to, in my heel, I can now middle mouse drag anywhere in my viewport, and it works all the way up to 50, minus 50, and down to 50. If I wanted that just to stop directly here, I'd set that as 0, but I've said minus 50 and all the way up. Set it back to 0. What about the ball? My ball's working. Fantastic. Bring that back to 0, and I'll test my toe. There we go. Nice toe roll as well. Back to 0. And the final step, I need to connect because everything is right now connected to the heel. The heel is basically moving my whole leg. So I can create a constraint, not a parent, but I want to constrain this heel locator to my controller. So I'll select my controller first, shift select my heel, and I'll go constrain, parent, make sure maintain offset is selected, and hit apply. No valid target. Oh, because I didn't select it here, sorry. Grab it there. Is that correct? Whoops. Didn't like that one. That one there. Whoops. Okay, now I've got it. I go apply. There we go. Close that. I should be able to grab my control, and it moves it up and down. I can rotate it, move it around. Whoops. Better get back into select mode rather than sub-object. Okay, fantastic. And I can always bring it back to 0. And there we go. Now, whoops. If I wanted to, the next up, I would be mirroring this joint chain across to the other side. To mirror it, you simply select your left hip and you would go skeleton, mirror joints. Go to the options. I want orientation, so I want to search for L underscore and replace it with R underscore for the right side, and I'll go apply. I think it'll be LZ is the mirror across. Let's try that. Apply. Yep, it's the right direction. And because I had orientation on, it's actually brought across the IK handles as well. So it hasn't brought over the locators or the other controls, so you have to build those out again. But it has brought over that that IK handle. There we go. And you can just test it again. Yep, nice. So you go through the same process for that foot. Okay, now one last thing is I will create what's called a pole vector for the knee. So I'll create one more NURB circle. This will be another control. Scale it up a little bit. I'm going to rotate it so as it's, there we go. I'll bring this up into position near my left knee. I'll hold V to snap it actually. So it's right on the knee here, in the center of that joint. And now I can just pull it out about here, and I better name it. Name it either up here in my channel box or down inside the outliner. So I'll call this one my L underscore knee control. And what do we do with controls? We modify, freeze them back to 0. And while you still got it selected, come down and shift select your IK ankle. The IK ankle IK, which was the very first IK handle you made, and this time we go constrain pole vector and just go apply, and what it'll do is create a little green line going out to the pole vector to your control. Then you know it's correct. And now what does that control? Well, it lets me control the direction of the knee. So I could move this control up, and if I wanted to I could move the knee now out to the side or in as I'm animating the character. Okay guys, well that's it. Happy rigging, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks for watching.